Hello, hello, hello. It is Christine Michelle, and today we are talking about storytelling. We are going to talk about how you create your reality. So it really is important to see or pay attention to the stories that you're telling. I'm going to talk about why your throat and what you're speaking, in addition to what you're thinking, of course, is so important, and how you get to tap into starting to tell a new story without needing the evidence of that story to be there. Does that make sense? Let me know if you're picking up what I am putting down today. So let's talk about storytelling. Everything in your life, everything that you're seeing, especially while you're in awake mode, right? While you are living your life, is all a part of a story. It's all a part of something that you have the power to co-create, shift, and change, or keep it going. So let's talk about how you keep things going the same. You keep telling the same story. So if you love the way your life is, you get to keep telling the same story. You get to say, this is who I am. This is how I'm showing up. This is the things, and just keep talking about the same old things that are happening in your life. And if you want to change your life, if you want to start being differently, if you want to be received differently, if you want the world to see you differently, then you get to start telling that story and allowing the 3D reality to catch up with that. Let me know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Your voice, my mom, and she's Christian, and one of her favorite passages was death and life are in the power of your tongue. And so ever since I was young, she was like, death and life are in the power of your tongue, Christine. Mind what you're saying, like mind the words that you're saying. Keep aware of what you're speaking. Keep aware of how you're speaking, whether it's to people, about yourself, about others. She was like, keep aware of that because death and life are in the power of your tongue. And so if you knew that you spoke life or you spoke death to just anything, to your life, to your situation, to what you're experiencing, and you knew that you had that power on your tongue, what would you be saying? What kind of stories would you be telling? Right? What kind of things would you be sharing with the world about yourself, about what you love, about what you're doing? Like, what would you be doing? Because I want you to pay attention to that. I always remember, I'm like, death and life are in the power of my tongue. What I speak, I co-create. So instead of even saying death and life, what I speak it into existence. I have, I love to say I listen to my inner God voice and that God is within me and all around me. So source energy, the power that creates worlds is within me. And I pay attention to what I'm speaking, whether it's speaking over my clients, whether it's speaking over a situation, whether it's speaking about what I'm experiencing. I make sure to say, do I want to continue experiencing that? Do I want to speak that into my reality? Do I want to create that with my words? Do I want to create that with the power that creates worlds? You see what I mean? So what you get to think about today, what you get to look at today is what stories are you telling? So I'm going to give you some examples of very simple stories that you can tell that will totally shift your viewpoint. And then when reality came, I was like, oh my God, right? So this is a simple story. And this is not even about me creating world, but it did create the energy that I operated in. So when I left New York, I came to Atlanta. When I left New York from Victoria's Secret, I came down to Tampa and I wanted to start a business, but I wasn't so ready. So I went back to corporate because that was comfortable for me. And I was in the corporate world and I was actually doing very well, and I never had the titles that I thought I should have, but the person that I worked under, I ended up being his equal, not in title, but in power. And I still was receiving a lot less money, right? Because that's sometimes how corporate world is, right? And so I, in my mind, was telling a story that I need to work harder, or I need to do this and I need to do this. And if I just work just even a little bit harder, then I could be seen as equal. And if I, those are the stories that I was telling. So what did I do? I worked harder. I worked myself to the bone. I ended up having adrenal fatigue, and I ended up needing to like work from home for a while, and I had to get these IV drips, and it was just awful. But I was working myself to the bone because I assumed that because I wasn't promoted and I wasn't or wasn't brought up to the same level and receiving the same money as my male cohort, that was something on me, and that I was telling the story that if only I worked harder. And so it got to a point where I just, I started creating this business, and I decided that I was ready to leave. And so I left. And it wasn't even maybe a year later, my boss, the one who I reported into, sent me a message. And then we talked for a little bit, and he was like, Christine, he's like, I feel bad, because he got let go. It was a whole like layoff situation, but he was like, I feel bad, because he's like, I look back and I see, he's like, you were equal to, if not more, senior than some of the people that you had to report into. And he's like, and I feel bad because I feel like we didn't pay you enough, and we didn't recognize how amazing you were. And here I am thinking that it was me, right? Here I am thinking that if I worked harder and if I did this, then they would promote me. And it was actually built in that they weren't going to promote me and give me that at all, right? And so I used this situation to tell me that me working harder and harder and harder, that's what I needed to do in order to receive, right? When the truth was that they had a level that I was just never going to get to. And I got to say that I didn't have to work hard for that. I got to leave and create my own thing instead of working hard at what I thought they needed. But that's not the story I was telling myself. The story I was telling myself, the harder I work, the more they'll recognize me. But the truth was, I wasn't recognizing myself. I wasn't recognizing my worth. I wasn't coming in there and being like, I am damn good, and asking for what I wanted. I wasn't in the negotiation to be like, this is what I'm bringing. And if I don't get this, then this, right? Because I wasn't telling that story, because ever since I was little, work hard, and then you'll get, and work hard, and then you'll get, right? So that's a story that I was telling myself. And then when I found out the truth, it was like, oh my God, look at the work hard story, which working hard had nothing to do with that. What they in the corporate world looked at, they wanted their certain people that were going to be at that level to look and be a certain way. I didn't fit that. That was it. And if I would have just known my worth, I probably would have walked out of that door a lot faster. Seeing what I'm picking up when I'm putting down? So I have a client, and so she was thinking, well, if I only, I looked at this way, then this will happen, right? So she works so hard and she loses all this weight and she's feeling so good. And she's like, okay, so this is what's going to help me rise here. And I was like, you're telling yourself that story because you're saying I'm not there. So when if I look like this and I do this, then I'll get there. Right? So I said, you're going to do all of that. You've got to be there in your mind. You've got to know your worth. You've got to tell yourself the story that I am the shit. I am amazing, before you allow the things to flow into your life that align with that. And so she got there, right? She got to the way she wanted to look and realized that I still don't feel good. I don't have the success that I thought I would have once I looked the way I needed to look. And I was like, because that's not where your success comes. Your success is here. Your success is here. You saying, I choose success. I am successful. I'm successful because successful is me. I am beautiful because beautiful is me, right? I am wanted. People want what I'm sharing because it is amazing. And it really took her to start to own her own brilliance and shine whatever she wanted to be shined from the outside onto her and start telling a different story. that I'm beautiful as I am, that I'm good at what I do, that my business that I've created is desired by thousands, by thousands. This is the way it is. And then she started to show up in that way. And guess what? That's what started to happen, because she changed her story. So like, what story are you telling? Let's say you have a story in yourself. You're like, oh, well, I'm not safe unless I have money, right? I'm not safe. I'm not secure unless this is met, or unless I already have money. So then what are you doing? Your story is giving power to money when you actually have the power over money. That money is there just to support your desires, not you there to do something so that you can get it. So the story that you're telling, if you continue to tell the story that I need to do this in order to get the money, I need to do this in order to get the money, I need to work hard in order to get the money, I need to do this, money, I don't have it, I blah, blah, blah. If you're telling that story, then what's going to happen? You're continually perpetuating what is. You're continually focusing on the situation that is, and so you're continually creating what is. If you want to change what's happening, you've got to change your story. This is a 3D matter world. Remember how I said 95% of your manifestation happens in the spiritual world, right? And it is instantaneously. That stuff happens. It's so fast. And then you have cooperative components and God, universe that's bringing people onto your path, and all of the things that are going to make what you desire happen in this physical world. Well, the physical world, matter is very slow. And so it moves really slowly, right? And when you're speaking things into being and you keep looking at what is and you keep focusing on what isn't happening, you're creating more of what is already. You're creating more of what you don't want. And so it really is truly up to you to start to change that story. In order to do that, it takes effort, because it gets easy to keep talking about what is, and it gets easy to keep saying, well, that it is what it is, right? And I can't do any more. And well, my parents told me that this is what I had to do, so I'm assuming that that's just the way it is. And my question to you is, do you want to live that life? Do you want to experience that life? Or do you want something different? Because if you want something different, you've got to speak something different. Your co-creative power is in your tongue. It's in your voice. It's in how you speak. It's in how you speak over your situation. It's in how you decide that your situation goes. And so today, what I want you to do is really look at, like, what stories am I telling and what would I desire? So when I first came into this business, there weren't that many people talking about the stuff that I'm talking to you about that looked like me. Not at all. And I told the story that it's going to be harder for me, and that, I played very small and I thought I needed this help and this help. And I kept telling the story that I'm going to have to work a little bit harder, or I'm going to have to do this and I'm going to have to do that. And I just told the story that this was going to be a challenge for me and that it was going to be very difficult, but I was going to work hard to make sure it happened. And what happened? In the beginning, it was very, very challenging, and it was very, very difficult. And I didn't trust myself. And I thought, oh, well, I'm this size. I need to lose weight in order for this, or I don't want to be seen because I need this. And so I decided, fuck that shit. I said, I'm not telling those stories anymore. I started to say, you know what? People want to hear what I have to say. I started to say, you know what? The algorithm and all of that works in my favor. I started to say, you know what? This gets to work out for me and in my favor. And I don't know how, but I know it is. That's the stories I started to say. I started to say, I am beautiful on the inside and the outside. People are attracted to my words. They're attracted to my brand. They're attracted to what's going on, and they get amazing results, right? I started to speak that over what gets to happen. And then anything that came up that wasn't in alignment with that, I did my work. I did the inner work. I did the shadow work, right? I did the aligned soul alchemy so that I can really tap into and ground in these new words that I was speaking over my life. I scripted new stories for how I got to wake up in the morning and how things got to be the way I wanted it to be and how I got to, live in the most amazing places and drive my most amazing dream car and how this got to be my life regardless of what anybody else thinks. And guess what? I manifested that. I created a life of my dreams, a business that's super successful and an audience that just continues to expand. But it wouldn't have gotten there if I would have kept telling the story that it was going to be hard or that someone who looked like me couldn't do it or. You see? So what stories are you telling? Are you perpetuating what's already happening and you're keeping to tell that same story so that that continues to unfold and continues to stay your reality and continues to stay the same? Or are you ready to take the plunge and make the difficult choice, right? To start telling new stories. Make the difficult choice to start choosing something else. Make the difficult choice to say, you know what? It's easier to go back to where I've been. I'm going to keep forging forward and tap into where I know I'm going. So keep aware. This is your soul work. Start becoming aware of the stories that you're telling. Write a new story. What is the story you desire to tell? What is the life you desire to live? And keep telling that story. And when somebody's like, well, that's not it, you get to say, you know what? Things are getting better every single day. And I'm starting to see my vision. And you know what? I had 3 more likes today than the last time. So people are growing and people are seeing me. Right. And I know with the algorithm, 3 likes, I know that maybe only, 10% of the people that actually watched it liked it. So that means 30 or more people were so into seeing me. And I am so excited because things are getting to improve. And you know what? The sun is shining today and I am up another day and I am trusting myself and loving myself and trusting that who I am and who I desire to be and that my desires are divine and that's the way it gets to be. And then if somebody's like, well, you had this struggle, like, yes, you know what? I did have that struggle. You're not denying it, but you're saying, and this is where I'm going. And this is where I'm seeing it change. And this is how it gets to improve. That's where you get to tell the story. You don't have to deny and say, oh no, it's not the way it was. You just get to say, and this is the way it gets to be. And it's getting a little bit better every single day. And I am choosing to feel a little bit better every day. And I don't need my circumstances to be better in order for me to choose better. I don't need to experience joy in order for me to choose joy every day. I get to choose joy. And then guess what gets to happen? Circumstances get to start backing me up and showing me joyful things. Do you see? You tell your different story. You start tapping into a more expansive story and you start doing it little by little. You're going to start seeing your 3D world start matching that story. But it takes your effort. It takes your choices. It takes you to tell that story and tell it over and tell yourself it over and over again. If you need to write it in your journal, you need to write it in your journal. If you need to read it aloud, you need to read it aloud. If you need to riff it the way I do it, you can riff it on your audio and just be like, you know what? I'll do a riff now. My life is getting better and things are getting better. And I'm starting to see traction and momentum is building and it's building a little bit more every single day. And everything is working in my behalf and everything is working for me. And even if I don't see it, even if I don't know it, I know it is. And you get to keep telling yourself that. And you get to keep telling yourself that every single day. Every single day. And the more you keep saying, you know what, I'm starting to see the sunshine. And every time the sun rises, it's the time for a new day. And this new day is evidence that things get to improve for me. And it gets to keep improving for me. And it gets to keep getting better and better and better and better and better. And the more you start doing that, and the more you start telling that story and focus the story on how you feel, you know what, I'm feeling a little bit better today. And you know what? That way you take the circumstances out of it. It doesn't matter if, bad things happen and you get to say, you know what? Yep, that happened. And I'm choosing to feel a little bit better today. I'm choosing to take another deep breath. I'm choosing to feel this life force energy in my lungs and know that because I'm starting another day, it gets to be a new day. So do you see how like that's the story that you get to tell? Because if you keep telling the story of what's happening, that's just going to continue to happen. Tell the story of what gets to happen. Tell the story of what gets to happen. And you can do that for 2 minutes every single day, and do it with your feeling, do it with your heart, and feel it in your body. And that story will unfold. I promise you, it will start, like you're going to start to see things and you're going to be like, oh my goodness, wow, that's similar to the story I was telling. Wow, I am feeling better. Wow, I am waking up with a smile on my face. Wow, more people are coming to my DMs, or this is happening and that is happening. And you're going to start seeing the 3D world catch up, because guess what? It's slow, but you get to choose quickly. So that's your soul work. That's what you get to do. Remember, you are the co-creator of your reality. You and your story is what you want to create, not someone else's story, not someone else's drama, not someone else's, issues that they're having, or someone else's beliefs that because that's where they grew up or that's the way life was. Good. We get to love them. We get to say thank you for caring for me and telling me things that you thought were going to make my life better. But this is what I'm going to choose for myself. And this is what I'm going to choose for myself. Okay. It's so easy to start telling a new story, and it doesn't have to feel like a lie. You want to start with where you are. So let's say I tell the story that I'm a millionaire, right? But if I say I'm a millionaire today, that story, everyone would be like, girl. And if I say I am becoming a millionaire, then people are like, yeah, girl, you got this. Keep going. Right? Do you see? And so it feels right in my body. I am becoming a millionaire every single day. I am closer and closer. It is unfolding as I speak. I am becoming a millionaire. I am making millionaire moves. This is what I do. Do you see what I mean? So you want to start with a story that feels true, right? That partially feels true. Like if you're like, when I was sick, I should have told this story. I'm going to add this to the podcast. When I was sick with COVID, I was feeling horrible. And after, I just felt even worse, sicker and sicker and sicker. And it was just not getting better. And so I was like, you know what? I get to tap into what it feels like to have a little bit more energy every single day. And so I would imagine the sun on my face, and I would imagine like it feeding me energy. And I was like, I have a little bit more energy every single day. And I would tell myself that story every morning. I have a little bit more energy every single day. When my sister's like, how are you feeling? I was like, you know what? A little bit better. Instead of being like, I feel like death and I just want to go to bed. Instead of that, because that's what I was saying for a lot of days, I decided I'm feeling a little bit better. Things are getting a little bit better. And I kept doing that little by little. And it was less than a week later, I was totally out of it. I was feeling energy. I didn't even remember that I was sick anymore. And it really did change. Why? Because I changed my story. And from keep talking about what is, which was stuff that I didn't want to happen, I started talking about what I wanted it to be and started to really tap into what it would feel like to feel a little bit better. And so when I would tap into what it would feel like to be a little bit better, I was like, you know what? I am feeling a little bit better, because I could feel a little bit better without having the proof that I was a little bit better. Tasha says, I say that I'm becoming the CEO of a 6-figure brand because I'm in the process of becoming. I think also changing the conversation that you're having with others is so important, because we spend a lot of our time complaining to others. Exactly. And if you're complaining and you're always in this is what's happening, or it's not getting any better, or blah, blah, blah. If you're always talking about that, then what is really happening? What's happening is you are not getting any better and things are staying the way they were. And nobody wants that. Nobody got time for that. So yes, you just say I'm becoming. And then as you're getting closer, you're like, wow, I am a 6-figure CEO. You know what you could do, Tasha, too? Like, you're becoming a 6-figure CEO. Love it. And then what I want you to do is have a running total of all of the income that you've made in your business from when you started. Keep a running total, because guess what? You're going to become the CEO of a 6-figure brand before the 6-figure annual. Does that make sense? So when you're like, I'm a 6-figure CEO, and then your brain sees that, oh my God, I did make $100,000 over the last couple of years. I am the leader of a 6-figure brand. I have sold 6 figures in income. Wow. Look at that. I've made over 6 figures in income. And then you get to say, I'm becoming the CEO of a 6-figure annual brand. You feel me? And then from there, you build it to multi-6-figure annual brand. And then from there, you go into 7-figure brand. And then you go into multi-7-figure brand. You see what I'm saying? Because then you can just continue to build and build and build. And you start to show proof to your brain about, yeah, I'm already there. And then the becoming gets to be, I am. So on that note, I am sending you hugs and kisses and all the feels. And remember, you co-create your reality. So who are you choosing to be? What stories are you choosing to tell? And just change those stories a little bit.